Good evening, everybody, and welcome along to this edition of SportsView on the 27th of February, Monday, 27th of February, 2023. There's only one more day left, Joe, in this month. Good evening, Joe Waters.
Good evening, Pat.
And welcome again. Wonderful to see you all the way from Seattle, viewers. Just in case you haven't been with us or you've been ignoring us, we won't ignore you. But what was I going to say? Other people, I think, came in. There's something on some of their Wi-Fi. They may come in during the program, but however, we'll belt away with our program here. And the usual information is on the bottom of the screen there, and press the red button to subscribe to our channel. We were chatting before we started, Joe, just about the soccer season and the upsurge in the soccer attendances in the USA. It's something that we're going to pay attention to in this run of sports here. Hopefully, we do a monthly report on the US soccer because I think the standard has improved. I think the national team acquitted itself well in the World Cup.
Yes, they did. They did. And, to be honest with you, it's only really a matter of time before this country becomes a huge power in soccer. There's so many kids playing it in so many different ethnic backgrounds that they have all the skill sets from the different ethnicities, and it's only a matter of time before it all starts coming together. With the population of this country and the amount of people playing it, it's going to be huge. And once kids start realizing that there's a fourth sport that you can actually make money at,
yes,
it's not just basketball and baseball. I think Martin O'Neill said it best. He said he was when he was here with Celtic a few years ago. He said, I watch all these kids in the playgrounds, and they're all playing basketball. But he said they're all small kids. They have no chance of making it as professional basketball players. But he said if they turn their minds to soccer, just with their sheer athletic ability, he said they could be terrific soccer players.
Yes, that's a fair point indeed. You're right there. And really, I'm not surprised because it's ironic in one way that the US ladies blazed the trail for soccer at an international level for America. I know that not America have been there, but they have, I suppose, been successful on the world stage, as a national team,
And I mean, they had a huge, step up in terms of, organization and in terms of ability and playing, because they had the college system. I mean, college soccer has been around for forever and a day. My wife played in college and won 2 national championships when she played in college in the 80s, and they were playing there before. And there were really not that many professional leagues anywhere around the world that were that well organized. So the Americans with the college system kind of got a leg up from that and were ahead of everybody. And plus, you had Title IX, and the USSF made funding for young girls soccer a big part of their federation. So it was given the same credit as the boys' side of it. So they have been organized for a long while. Now the other countries are starting to catch up because they realize that it's out there for them, and so the game is really But here, it's been going for I don't even remember when they started women's soccer in college, to be honest. But I know that it's been for well before the 80s.
Well, of course, you and I, with respect to ourselves and our ages, we are young at heart anyway, it doesn't matter. We would remember the excitement in America when Pele went to play with New York Cosmos. Do you remember that?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, it's you had Pele, you had Beckenbauer, you had Cruyff,
Yeah,
uh,
you had them all.
George Best came over up in Seattle, Mike England, Jeff Hurst, Bobby Moore, all played up there for the Sounders back in the 70s. Jimmy Gabriel, who's played and managed Everton, won a league championship there with them.
Yeah,
Played up there and was a coach up there. Alan Hinton won the two league championships with Derby, was a coach up there. So the history of soccer has been pretty, I mean, when I played indoor, when I first came over here,
yeah.
we played against Johan Neeskens, who had played for Holland in the 74, was it 74 World Cup?
And
He
78.
actually scored a penalty in that one.
He did.
And
Good, very
also,
good player. Yeah,
yeah,
very good.
and Kaz Dana, we played against guys that were from all over the world.
Yes.
Brazilians, Giorgio Chinaglia. The list goes on and on of guys that played
Yeah.
over here, and so it's really no surprise that was kind of a stepping stone, and then there was a little bit of a lull in it, and then it came again.
Yeah.
The second wave of it came again, and here in Tacoma, we still hold the record for the biggest indoor crowd for an indoor soccer game, 22,000.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so
That's awesome. And I think things like initiatives like that are important to give it a springboard, to get it in your face, bring you over Pele and Beckenbauer and all those people. I think were important at the time, because I know in our own neck of the woods, Cork Celtic had Rodney Marsh and George Best down in
right.
Thunder's Cross. It was absolutely the excitement.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Just unbelievable, and
Yeah.
that residue of excitement. Your great Waterford teams and great Cork Celtic, Cork Hibs, that kept soccer going for a good 10 years.
Oh yes, it did. Yeah,
that kind of, because it attracted other players from the Championship and Division 1 in Britain who were very good players. But I mean, there's thousands of players in Britain in comparison to Ireland, so they were stars here.
Oh yeah,
in
yeah.
the club we had. And I noticed that Hull City recently, I know we're jumping around the place, but sure, we can say what we like and do what we like. It's our own program. Hull City are in the process of buying Dundalk Football Club.
Oh, really?
So, I mean, I think, and as we know, Dermot Desmond, who's one of the biggest shareholders in Celtic, as you know, he has a pretty big shareholder in Shamrock Rovers. So there's huge improvements in League of Ireland, not alone for the money. You need money as well, but facilities of the attendances of the League of Ireland here now has absolutely up way up, the highest ever for League of Ireland matches for the first weekend of it. So it's very good, because as the grounds and the facilities, improve, people will go. They will go.
They will. And to be honest, I'm not surprised. It really has only been it was only a matter of time before English clubs started taking interest in Irish clubs.
Yeah.
Because now with the rule that kids cannot go across at 15 like I did, they have to wait a little bit longer. They can see this as a training ground for players, so that they get players, Irish kids, and they're developing them, and then they can also send their own players over on loan there and get them playing in a professional environment. I mean, and that's all part of a player's development. When I was 16, I was in the reserves at Leicester. I mean, we used to play against internationals every other week, because there were guys that were just out of the team at that time, or they were coming back from injuries or what have you, or a loss of form. So, and there was only ever in those days there was only 12 guys went to away games with the first team. So the other ones had to play somewhere
Yeah.
and would play it in the reserves.
Yes.
So I remember we played Arsenal one night, and my good friend Lynn Brady was playing. We were both young fellas in the reserve team, and Charlie George was playing for.
Oh, what a fabulous player!
Fabulous player.
I
Yeah,
love watching.
he didn't play well that night. He only scored 6 goals when they won 6-0. So he had an off night that
He
night.
enough.
Yeah.
He missed more than he scored, as you said.
Yeah.
Thanks be to God, he did.
Yeah, indeed.
But steep learning curve. Now, did you manage to see any of the European matches over the week, Joe?
Yes, I did.
I
Yeah.
mean, Liverpool were destroyed.
Yes, they were. Yes,
There's
they
no
were.
other word for it. They were.
Yeah. And
I think they're in more serious trouble than I gave them credit for, because with all due respect to Real Madrid, of course they're the champions, but they're an old team as well,
they are an older team as well. But
Yeah.
the thing with Madrid is that they never seem to be beaten. They never
No.
seem to. They don't panic. They don't get down on themselves. They don't get down on each other. They went 2 goals down.
They did, but you could see the psyche. We will get the next goal.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I said it to my son. I said, they're going to get the next goal. They're definitely, and if they do, I mean, the Liverpool defense, the whole team was shocking to me.
They had a very, very bad night, and Real Madrid just
cruised.
They cruised through the game. I mean, one of the things that struck me as I was watching the game, I think it was maybe the 5th goal that Benzema scored when Liverpool were on the attack, and Madrid won it, and the ball came to Modric, and Modric started dribbling the ball up the middle of the field, and Fabinho chased him, and Modric just ran away from him. I mean, you're talking about a 34, nearly 35-year-old guy sprinting away from a 39-year-old. And that was just like, wow. I thought that Fabinho's been off the pace for a while. And that just really, brought it home to me.
They're in serious trouble with Van Dijk. Van Dijk is gone as a serious player.
I think that he has come to the end of it. That injury must have been a real tough one for him to overcome.
I think it has completely. Sometimes an injury can just finish your career. We're not saying his career is finished, but we're saying that the effectiveness of him. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, at the level that he played before.
Yes.
I mean, he was absolutely,
dynamic.
He was brilliant.
He was like everywhere. I mean, he'd get the ball and he'd carry it to the next box, sometimes. Really and truly, he was everywhere. But I think, and it's not any one player, it's just the whole team. It's sad to see, but Man United Barcelona match was fantastic.
That was a great game. And the first game was a great game as well. The 2-2 game.
I just loved that. I love that match. I was delighted to see Man United winning it, of course,
Yeah.
And they're with their, people. I was reading about Real Betis. They're the other team in Seville, in Spain. But Manuel Pellegrini is their manager. He'd know an awful lot of the Man United players,
Oh yeah.
He'd know them all.
Pellegrini is a hell of a coach. Didn't he win a championship with Man City?
He did.
Win one of them?
He did, I think.
Yeah. And he's always been a hell of a coach. Plays good style of football.
I was looking at the club when they drew them, when Man United drew Real Betis. There's not many teams score many goals against them. Even when they lose, you're talking about you're not talking about a 4 or a 5-0. Never with Pellegrini. it'll be a tall order for Man United. But I think the fact that they won the League Cup the weekend, Joe, will certainly give them a boost again. People might scoff at these things, but I don't. It's a domestic competition to be won. There's only one team can win it, and Man United was the team to win it.
Well, it's a funny thing. You listen to people talking now, and it's only the League Cup, it's only that, this and that. Well, when Liverpool were winning it last year, all the Liverpool fans were going, "Oh, we've won 2 domestic trophies. We're going for the treble with the league and what have you. Oh,
Yeah.
we're going for the quadruple with the European Cup as well." And to win any trophy is a huge achievement.
It is. I mean, all the teams were in, and people forget the League Cup, like the FA Cup. All the teams are entered into it.
Yes.
And your own team are travelling to Southampton in the FA Cup during the week coming.
Yes, they are. Yes,
they're travelling. God, they have a nice journey down south.
Oh yeah, that is a good journey, that one, for sure. So,
there'll be a lot of singing, but it's on at 7:15 p.m. on Wednesday night Irish time, Grimsby Town, in the 5th round of the FA Cup against Southampton. And not because you're here, there could be a shock.
Well,
Southampton are not going well.
We played Southampton in the FA Cup when I was at Grimsby. We were in the 4th division. They were in the. They were actually the defending champions in the of the FA Cup. They'd won it the year before, and we drew 0-0 at Grimsby. We went down to Southampton. We drew 0-0 down there after extra time, and it went to a second replay at Filbert Street, of all places, and on a really bad night. They had Alan Ball, Ted McDougall, Phil Boyer, all those guys, Chris Nichol, all those guys playing for him, and they ended up beating us in the 3rd game 4-1. So I hope that the result, we actually should have won the game down there. We had so many chances and missed them. So I'm hoping they can take them back to Blundell Park.
I was going to say that. I hope they can bring them all the way back up.
Yes.
That would be fun. Celtic, of course, won the League Cup in Scotland. They beat Rangers 2-1. And astonishing. Scottish soccer, it's tough going with only 2 clubs, and the rest of them, really, that it is tough on the rest of the teams up there, Man City will be playing Bristol City in the FA Cup tomorrow night. That's the thing. Over the weekend, of course, Aston Villa had a good win. Aston Villa won the old League Cup, the Milk Cup, wasn't it called then?
Yeah.
And who was captain?
I'm trying to think who was the captain back then.
Andy Townsend.
Was Andy Townsend the captain when they won it?
I think it was, I didn't look it up now. I'm only guessing, lads, so don't take my word for it, but I think it was. And that medal, that League Cup medal, is as valuable as any to any soccer player. As you said, there's only a couple of domestic competitions every year in your own country to win: the League Cup, the FA Cup, and the league, whatever league you're in. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so and there's only one team can win them every year, But Aston Villa, Leeds, Arsenal, and Man City, they all won, in the Premiership. And for people who may have missed it, Arsenal are top of the Premiership, Joe, with 57 points from 24 games. Man City, I have it written down in front of me, so that's how I know. Man City have 55 points from 25 games, a game more than Arsenal. Man United are 49 points from 24 games. Spurs are on 45 after 25. Newcastle 41, Fulham 39, and Liverpool 36 points in 7th place. They're all of 21 points off the top of the league, which is astonishing.
Yeah.
And they say you need 40 points in the Premiership not to be relegated. Well, right. Liverpool have 36 so far, which is really 2/3 of the way. They're 2/3 of the way through the season. Man United are going well. Spurs had a good win. Harry Kane did the trick, but I think Man United couldn't go far wrong if he's available. They could buy him. He'd be a huge asset to the club.
He would be a big asset to the club. He really would.
He'd be a fantastic asset. I think he would make the team. Looking at him now, yesterday or whatever day he's playing, looking at him, his movement, and I just paid particular attention to him because he's much maligned when he's not scoring, but really, he occupies two players every time he plays.
Yeah, the only thing, I mean, he's a terrific player and he's got a terrific goal scoring record. My only thing with him is that sometimes he just drops off too deep to get the ball and gets himself too far away from the goals.
Yeah.
He
has that tendency to be midfield.
Yeah, he tends to do that, especially in big games. He tends to do that. But I agree with you. I mean, they've got this guy playing up front for him now at the minute, Man United, Weghorst. And I mean, people can say what they like about him, but I watched him again yesterday. He is so suited to that team, the way they play. He occupies defenders, he wins balls in the air, and he does things that they don't have anybody else that can do. Yeah. And he creates chances for himself. He had two great efforts yesterday. The one he just didn't connect with inside the box, and then he had the left footer from outside the box that the goalkeeper Karius made a great save on. But I think getting somebody like Harry Kane in there would take it to a whole different level.
I think so. And do you know who I love watching is Casemiro?
Well, we talked about this weeks ago.
Since we did, I paid because my son is a Man United fanatic, but I just love Casemiro. I love his attitude. He's just a nugget to that Man United team.
He's an absolutely brilliant footballer. He reads the game so well. Oh. He's got a good range of skills, passing skills. Scored a goal again yesterday. Is good in the air. And we talked about it when he first signed, and everybody is making 60, 70 million or something like that. Well, Koulibaly went to Chelsea at the same time. For about 50 odd million, where that odds would have been closer to 60, 65 million. And you haven't heard nothing about him.
Not
because Casemiro has turned Manchester United around. And another guy that's doing a really good job for him is Fred. Fred was getting an awful lot of stick.
He was. We gave him enough of it here on this show.
Yeah. And he's turned around. He's covering every blade of grass on the field.
His attitude is better.
Yes, it is. It is much more so.
There's no doubt about it that Ten Hag, I know it's a stupid thing to say, Joe, but Ten Hag is really in charge of the team now.
Oh, yes. Very much so.
Really in charge. Yeah. And you can see the players. The players are united. They're with him.
Yeah,
they're with him, and I think I think the Premiership isn't over by a long shot.
No, it's not. This year maybe. I think it's a little too far for him to win it this year. I think that they could win the 3 cups. I think that they could win the
FA Cup,
the FA Cup, and the Europa League. I think they could win those 3. I think the Premiership is a little bit of a stretch for them this time.
Yeah,
I think that they're probably. I think there may be 2 transfer windows away.
They're 8 points off Arsenal and the same number of games.
Yeah, but the beauty of it is City have got to play Arsenal again. I think at City, so that's going to be a huge game in that. If City win that, then that makes it all that much.
And next Sunday, we have Man United and Liverpool.
Yes.
That
Yeah.
will be very interesting now, because that could be a massacre for Liverpool if they're
Yeah.
not
Well,
careful.
you know that's a game that I would not.
Bet on.
I would not be willing to put money on that game, to be honest. When those two meet, you can throw form out the window
That's
sometimes.
true. Yeah, that's true. SportsView is the program with Joe Waters and myself here. We're here every Monday night, and you can catch it all on our YouTube channel, and press the red button to subscribe to our channel. We'll come back to soccer in a second. The Six Nations continued this weekend, Joe, and Ireland had the expected win over Italy, but it was I suppose, what's the word I said? They were a bit not complacent, but they took it a bit easier, but they won anyway, 34-20. And England beat Wales 20 points to 10, and France beat Scotland 32-21. But they got that try in the last minute of the match, the last try. It was only 32, it was only 25-21. There's only one score in the match between Scotland and France up to the final minute. But Scotland now cannot win the Grand Slam because they were the only other unbeaten team in it. So Ireland is the only team left standing now to win the Grand Slam, which is beat all the teams. So they have Scotland next. That'll be for the Triple Crown. And they have England their last match.
Right.
So
that Scotland match is going to be a very, very hard match for Ireland.
Oh, they're good. And
they're very good. I mean, I
good.
watched that. I was lucky enough that I was able to catch the France Scotland game. They didn't have the Ireland game on over here, but that one was on. And Scotland were, I mean, they were camped out on the French, you know, inside the 25 for the longest time, and then just getting that extra, just having that push to score a try or to get over the line just didn't come, and they shot themselves in the foot a couple of times. They turned the ball over on the end line, I think, for the first try, and then the second one was an interception where the guy took it. But Scotland played great. I mean, they played really, really well.
Yeah.
When they went down to 14 men, I thought, oh well, that's it. You know, that's the end of that. But then the French guy, I have no idea what he was thinking about when he went head first into that tackle.
Well, that's true. I mean, for some reason, I love watching French rugby, you know.
Yes.
I know they're unpredictable, but when they play a freestyle kind of rugby, you know.
Yeah.
That they rely on their natural talent, and they have a confidence that you don't see in that team. Okay, they won't win every game, but by God, you'll enjoy it anyway, you know. Whether they win, lose, or draw, you'll enjoy a French rugby game, you know.
Well, you get your money's worth when you watch them.
Yes, that's exactly what I was trying to say. Yeah, that's true. And well, it's not looking good for Wales in the World Cup. And you know, England are in bad shape as well. I mean, of the 6 teams, I think Ireland and France were the most, and Scotland. Ireland, France, and Scotland have reasonable chances in the upcoming World Cup. Mind you, it'll be played in France, so there you go. I mean, we don't know what Argentina, South Africa, Australia, and New Zealand, you know, and then it's shaping up to be an exciting World Cup. I don't know. Did you get to see any of that? It was described as a boxing match last night. You know.
Yeah. You know, to be totally honest with you, I refuse to watch professional boxing now.
He's up there for everyone to see now.
Yeah, I know. It's like, I mean, it just so I didn't watch it, but the thing that apparently according to everybody was his lack of boxing skills were so apparent last night in the fight the other night that I mean, I just think it's a joke that a
Well,
guy like that, a YouTuber, can get into a fight for that kind of money.
well, I think myself, Joe, it brings boxing into disrepute, and
Yes, it does.
they don't need that. Jake Paul is not a boxer and never was.
No,
Jake Paul is a media, what they call a media sensation. Now, Fury can box. Now he's not a very good boxer, but at least he can box.
right.
Well, that was farcical last night,
Yeah,
Eight rounds. It wasn't even a 10 rounder, and really I think Fury had the most scoring punches, on in the
yeah,
fight, and should have been a travesty if and it was a split decision. One judge gave it to Paul. I think that judge must have had too much. All you can drink in Saudi Arabia, can you? He must have had a hip flask uh,
yeah,
beside the ring, and the other judges I think scored it correctly. I nearly had the same score as them. That's I'm
yeah.
no expert, but I like watching boxing. But anyway, that was we don't need those things. And the golf, I suppose, Derwin isn't here tonight to cover the golf. So I mean, we had the Honda Classic in America. It's so ironic. The guy that won the Honda Classic in America, Chris Kirk, at 14 under, he got what did he get? He got oh God, what was he winning? Chris Bear, he got $1.5 million for winning the Honda Classic, which is one of the big. Yet down in Mexico with the first tournament of Live Golf,
Yeah,
the winner got $2 million dollars, which was Charles Howell III. Great round, terrific round of golf. Only 3 rounds, as you know, because that Live is they're all 54-hole tournaments, so it's the Roman numeral. L is 50 and IV is 54 holes. So that's what the symbol is. I found out. So
ah,
Live Golf, Charles Howell, and Graham McDowell. The reason I'm reading out Graham McDowell, he finished in 11th place, Graham McDowell, and he got almost $500,000 for 11th place.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I mean, look, we can't be totally cynical. It's professional sport, as we said before. Whether it's soccer, where why they're was sniping at Live Golf. Look at all the professional soccer players. Look at Cristiano Ronaldo. He went to Saudi Arabia for the money.
Yes, yes.
They have a short life. They have a short
It,
life. Professional sports people, whether they're in tennis or golf or soccer. So you go, and as your career, as you know, as your career is coming down, if you get a big offer, as the man say, a final paycheck, of course you're going to consider it, and of course you're going to think. But Charles Howell, he had serious health problems and personal problems for a couple of years ago. That's Charles, or not Charles Howell, but Chris, what's his name? God, I've lost my note here. Oh dear me, Kirk, Chris Kirk. Yeah, Chris Kirk there in the photograph. He overcame a lot of personal problems that do with alcohol and all. It's great to see him back, because he's a lovely story. People can catch it online in his story, and it's just a lovely story about him, And he's here at the PGA. But anyway, that was him. That's the golf, Joe. There and
yeah, an interesting thing about golf, and people can, everyone has their opinion on it and what have you, and they're all talking about, well, you have the tour, uh, the two tours and what have you, but a soccer player is only allowed to play for one club and play in one league. A rugby player is only allowed to play for one club and play for one league. And these guys want to play in two different leagues. I mean, I can see why people get upset about it, because you either pick one or the other. It's your decision which one you go to, and it's fine. But why do you have to be allowed to cross over? Why?
yeah.
I mean,
Well, there is effectively there's there's the PGA Tour, there's the DP World Tour, which is a sister of the PGA Tour, but it's for what we call the European Tour, the American
Right.
Tour. But there's the tour over in Asia, the Asian Tour. Now, well-known players like McIlroy can play in Europe when he likes, can play in the PGA Tour when he likes, and play in the Asian Tour.
Mm.
So the way I look at it is, if I'm a professional golfer, I'm a self-employed professional golfer. I'm entitled to play where I like. I'd have a different view on that myself. Now,
Mm-hmm.
with soccer players, since the Bosman ruling, which I think, as we all know, we're not going to go down history there, they're all free agents, all professional soccer players. Every one of
Right.
them.
But once they sign for a club, then they're only allowed to play for that club.
Well, they signed a contract, and you're dead right there. There are rules that goes with that, you know?
Yeah.
If you sign for Man United, you sign a 3-year contract. And there's conditions and rules and all that you must adhere and follow and all of that. And there's the way the game is run in Britain and all of that, you know. So you can't just decide after a couple of games, lads, I'm out of here, I want to go to Barcelona, or I want to go to... No, I mean, I get what you're saying, all right, you know, there has to be some order, you know.
Yeah.
But I think it could be easily done. I mean, there's only 14 tournaments in the Live Golf here, just 14 weekends out of the 52 weeks, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it wouldn't be on the bounds of possibility to say, like, okay, Joe, you're a superstar with Live Golf. You can play 4 or 5 PGA events and you can play 2 European events or whatever, you know? They have to come together for the good of the game, in my opinion, because Live Golf, I mean, there's 20 million. There's 20 million for each tournament, right? In Live Golf, 20 million of a pot for the 14 tournaments. I mean, and there's only 48 players.
Right.
So if you came 48th over a couple of tournaments, you'd win $1 million. You're guaranteed that at the start, whether you win a tournament or not. So the structure is unfair, lopsided, money-wise. I agree. It has to be expanded to more than that, you know. But now that they've got an outlet, Live Golf have got CW in America. CW, I think they're an affiliate of ESPN, you know.
Okay.
I'm not too sure, but they've got their first partner to show it on television, on TV, because there's only so they signed their first deal this year. But anyway, we won't get too bogged down in the politics of it. But
right,
what I like to see, and you're the same as I would, if you're going to a tournament, you want to see the best players there.
Oh yeah,
day. That's what you're paying the money for. At the end of the day, we don't care about the politics of it. We don't care about who's right or wrong. We want to see the best golf. Our own Leonie Maguire has been on golf. She finished a credible 5th in the Honda Thailand Classic. She finished at -16. She won $47,000, and the winner was her first win in the ladies' tour. Lila Vu from America. She won $255,000. So she was so excited. I saw the highlights of it. It was her first win on the tour, you know. I like watching the women, not for what people are thinking of. I like watching women anyway, but I'm saying I like watching women golfers, the women's golf game, because I think there's less aggression in it, and it seems to be, you know, more comradeship in it. There's, you know, it's really they'd be rooting for each other to make the putt, you know.
Yeah.
And I think there's a different attitude. And the Irish Ladies Open is on again down the road from us this year, in Drummond Castle, just outside Newmarket and Fergus. So the Irish Ladies Open, and the fields have attracted a lot more interest this time because there's more money for it as well, and it's promoted better. And it's only €15 to go in each day, you know, which is well priced for people. So we've applied for accreditation. That's their media, simply so we can get into the media tent, so we can try and interview some of the players, or all the players, you know. So that's
Yeah.
the only reason we did that. But I don't know how much that's going to cost us. Of course, as we know, there was a big discussion today, Joe, in Adair Manor are hosting the next Ryder Cup, you know?
Yeah.
After this year's one in Italy, they're hosting the next Ryder Cup. There's huge preparations, obviously, made already, you know? And I'll put my address and phone number up on YouTube if people want accommodation. I'm only I can drop you out to the course any day, lads. Anytime.
There you go.
we're only a stone's throw of Madeira Manor, you know, and
Yeah.
we're only 4 minutes from Shannon Airport for anybody coming. You could make if we were thinking of buying a minibus and running a
Yeah.
shuttle.
There you go.
This is incredible what it brings to the people. What it
Oh,
brings
yeah.
to the place is just, of course, Joe, you'd remember the poor man that passed away, John Watson.
Yes.
What a fantastic commentator.
Yes,
You know?
he was.
He
Yeah.
passed away. He passed away over the weekend. The poor man, and the poor devil.
He was talking. He got an honorary award, I think, at the BAFTAs or something like that. And he was talking about, you know, some of the statements that he made on the air that were kind of like, and he says he was talking about, he was commentating at the World Cup. He said, the World Cup, this is truly an international event. So is that, and then he was talking about, he was commentating on the Brazilians in one of the World Cups that he was at, and the Brazilians were absolutely unbelievable. And he says, the Brazilians are so good, they're just running around playing with themselves.
And everybody understood and knew what he meant.
Yeah, exactly. You know? Exactly. But yeah, he told a couple of stories like that.
I'd say that was the 1970 World Cup.
It might have been, yeah. It might have been.
Because, I mean, they were untouchable, that team, because I know what he meant, because the other team couldn't go near the ball anyway. You know?
Right. Yeah.
It's just incredible. But Matson, yeah, he had a lovely voice, you know. Another commentator who's long gone now, you probably remember Peter O'Sullivan in the horse racing, you know?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like, you'd just stop what you're doing, even if you have no interest in the sport, and listen to his commentary, you know, on the radio.
Yeah. I mean, there were some of them that were just that were like unbelievable. I mean, they were just Kenneth Wolfson when he was doing his thing early on. Bill McLaren.
Bill McLaren, of course. Bill McLaren.
Yeah, and then the Welsh guy that was that commentated. He was the next. He was the next Welsh international. Was it Cliff? His name won't come to me, but he was. Yeah, and he was another one that was just really, you know, you just wow, you know.
You would, and those people didn't have to have a notebook of notes. They knew. They seemed to know, and they seemed to just read the program once, and that was the end of it.
Yeah.
I mean, someone was telling me, Micheál Murray here in Ireland, the GA commentator, you know?
Yeah.
They were, I think a friend of mine who worked in Radio Kerry, was at a few of the matches just bringing his stuff for him, you know? He was just starting off. Micheál would go into the dressing rooms. He'd find out who's playing, you know? Who's actually playing in the match. And the man was just amazed. He had nothing in front of him now for the whole match. It was all in his head.
In his head, yeah.
And he never got a player wrong. Never. You know? Never got a player wrong. He'd say, oh, there's Joe Waters. I know his mother is from down the road, and she's a sister of that great Kilkenny Camogie. He'd have all the family history in 30 seconds.
Wow.
while he was lining up to take the free. Just
Yeah.
and people loved that about him. The same with Mialo here in Ireland. Mialo here
Yes.
in the old days when we had no televisions or very little television around the place. The
Oh yeah.
radio was the big thing, But he
Yeah.
could paint a picture on the radio. Those commentators, alas, and of course. Tony, I just heard this morning, Tony O'Donoghue. People wouldn't remember him now, Tony O'Donoghue, except you were interested in athletics. He was 86. He passed away, Tony O'Donoghue. He was the athletics commentator for RT here in Ireland from 1972 till 2012.
Oh wow.
That's a long time. 40, is it 40 years? 50 years, 40 years, something. I know it is 40. But he commentated. I know if you ever see Eamon Coughlin when he won the World Championships in 1983, Tony O'Donoghue was the commentator. And if you remember the race, as he was coming around the second last bend, he looked at the Russian, and Coughlin knew when he looked at the Russian's face that he wasn't going to be speeding up any faster. He passed him out. And Tony O'Donoghue, I don't remember exactly all his words. He said, he was threatening to do this all his life, and now he's going to do it. He's going to be world champion, He waited all his life to do this, or whatever it was. It's a lovely phrase. And Coughlin, of course, superb. As we know, so Coughlin was fourth in two Olympics, 1980 and 1984, which is the worst place you could be.
Oh, I know. That you're so close.
If you're fifth or sixth, you're well done. But if you're fourth, people are saying, why couldn't he just have passed the last man,
It's just so easy for people to say that.
But getting up, people don't realize the effort it took to get up to fourth.
And that's the thing with it, That's the thing with it. It was, you've probably run the race of a lifetime to get to the fourth position. And you're just outside that medal spot.
Now, before we finish, Joe, we'll go back to the soccer. During the week, we have, as we said, we have the Southampton and Grimsby Town Wednesday night at 7:15 p.m. Irish time, whatever time to be over there. I know what time to be over there. Would it be lunchtime over there, would it?
Yeah, it'll be about lunchtime.
In Seattle. So there, and as we said, Man City and Bristol City on the FA Cup tomorrow night as well. Something to look forward to. And next Sunday we have Liverpool and Man United in the league, and that will be interesting. So from where are we here? So from Joe. Next Monday night, we might, as I said, we will do something. We will do something we will do something on American soccer. Probably in 2 weeks' time. The season has started. We might give a run through on how many teams are in and all that for people who are interested in that.
Yeah.
But for yourself, from Joe Waters and for myself, till we meet again, lads. Take care, Joe. Good night and good sports for the rest of the week. And the best of luck down way in the deep south during the week.
Take care, Pat. Good seeing you.
Thanks, Joe. Bye-bye.
All right.